The village had a name once, but by the time the giant reached its heart, there was no one left to speak it.
Run if it pleases you, little ones, for I have always loved the chase more than the meal.
His name was Ohyah, son of Semyaza, and his shadow alone was enough to flatten the standing grain in the fields.
Please, mighty one, take the grain, take the cattle, take all of it, but leave me my son.
Your grain is ash, and your cattle are bones, and all that is left is the warm and living.
He was a giant, born of heaven and dust, and the trembling world had learned to call such monsters heroes. The other giants barely looked up from their feeding, for the screaming of a village was a familiar music to them. But the true horror of Ohyah was not the ruin he made alive, but the thing that would leave him when he died. To understand what crawled out of that giant, we must return to the night the Watching Ones came down to Earth. For centuries, men have drawn the demon as a fallen angel, horned and burning, hurled down beside the Prince of Pride. But the oldest accounts tell a far stranger story, kept by a man who walked with God and never tasted death. The difference is not a small one, for a fallen angel and a homeless spirit do not hunger for the very same thing.
I was shown how the evil spirits began, and it was no war among the distant stars. They were never angels at all, and they never once lived above the sky we look up into.
His name was Enoch, the seventh from Adam, and heaven trusted him with the secret of where the demons began.
Their fathers came down from the heights, and their mothers were daughters of dust.
They were born here, before the flood, from a union the law of heaven had forbidden from the very first day.
And when the children of that union died, their bodies fell, but the rest of them refused.
That refusal is the thing we now call a demon, and its hunger is older than any altar ever raised to it.
A day of judgment is set against them, a day already written that has still not yet come.
Enoch alone was carried up to see the whole of it. The crime, the verdict, and the long and bitter cost. That long waiting is the wound beneath every haunting, and its root lies on a cold peak men named the Curse. Mount Hermon stood high and cold above the plains, a gray crown of stone where even the wind seemed to listen. 200 of the watchers gathered on its peak by night, sent only to guard mankind and never once to touch.
We were sent to watch them from afar, and I have watched until it became a fire in me.
We are spirits, Semyaza, and they are dust, and what you hint at has never been done.
I know the law as well as you, and still I cannot turn my eyes from the daughters of men. Then say it without the dressing, Chief, and stop hiding your hunger behind your regret. Speak gently, Azazel, for what burns in me tonight is burning in every one of you as well.
Even if it were true, the law is the law, and the punishment for this has no end at all.
The punishment falls on the one who acts, and on the one who acts alone. If I go down to them by myself, then I alone will bear the guilt of it forever. So let none of us go down alone, but swear one oath, and share the weight as one.
An oath among us cannot be unsworn, and the one you propose can never once be undone.
That is its whole purpose, brother, so that no fear of mine can drag us backward tomorrow.
Bind yourselves to me here and now, all 200, so no single name is ever blamed.
And if the heavens should ask us who began it, what answer will 200 voices give?
They will give no name at all, for there will be no one name, only every one of us, bound.
And if our light is taken from us, What will be left of the things that we were?
We will still have them, and their worship, and for me that will be enough.
Then swear it on this mountain, and let the mountain itself carry the curse of what we do.
And so upon that summit, they swore a mutual oath, each one chaining his choice to the rest, past all retreat. They named the place Hermon, the mountain of the curse. For there they bound themselves to a forbidden thing. Then the Watchers came down like falling stars, and the daughters of men mistook their ruin for a glory. They came down upon the high places and the hidden valleys, and the earth received them as if welcoming kings. They took wives, and they pried open doors of knowledge that heaven had sealed away for very good reason.
I will give them the secret of the blade, so the few need never fear the many again.
And I will teach them the power of the root, and the charm that bends a guarded heart.
Before the blade was taught, men had quarreled with stones, but now a single hand could cut down 100.
Give them the stars to read, the metals to shape, and the bright paint to mask the face.
We give them everything at once, and they will kneel and call us their gods.
Knowledge that heaven had withheld in mercy was poured out at once on a people who were not ready to hold it. Each forbidden lesson was a small door pried open, and through every open door, a deeper darkness entered. For a season, the Watchers walked as gods among men, and they mistook the fear in those faces for love. But a seed does not ask the leave of the hand that plants it. And what grew in those women was not human, and worse than any blade or charm was already coming. For the wives of the Watchers had begun to swell. The wives grew heavy far beyond nature, and the children they bore came screaming into the world. Enormous, they were the Nephilim, the fallen ones, giants whose shoulders rose far above the rooftops of the towns. Each giant stood taller than the tallest cedar, and a single one of their strides crossed a whole road.
Look at my sons, Ohyah and Mahawai, taller than the cedars and stronger than any army. They are magnificent, but tell me what such appetites will eat once the fields lie bare. They will eat whatever they please, for who on earth would dare to tell them no?
That is exactly the thing I fear, old friend. A hunger that has never once been told no.
At first, the people fed them in fear and in pride, and called them the mighty heroes of ancient renown. But a creature half of heaven and half of dust obeys no law. And the giants were ruled by hunger alone. They ate the harvest of whole cities, then the herds. And when those were gone, they turned on the people. A mother would hide her child beneath the floor and listen to a step that shook the dust from the beams. By morning, the village would be silent, the granaries torn open, and a wide path crushed flat through the wheat. The giants drank blood and broke every bond of kinship, and they taught the earth of violence it had not known. Even the beasts of the field caught the cruelty and turned upon one another as nature had never intended. Rivers ran dark in the season of slaughter, and the rain that should have cleansed the land only spread the stain. The ground grew sick beneath their feet, soaked with so much blood that the soil could no longer drink it. Yet even the giants knew no peace, for a dark dream had begun to trouble their enormous nightly sleep.
Brother, I dreamed of a tablet, and a great water washed every name from it but a few. I dreamed the same, a flood with no shore, and our father's house sinking in the dark. We are the strongest things that ever walked, so what water would dare rise against us? I cannot say, but the dream comes back each night, and each night the water climbs higher. A dream is only a dream, And tomorrow I will forget it the moment I wake. You will not forget it, for I have seen the same dread waiting in your own eyes. Father, in the dream your house was the first thing the rising water swallowed. Dreams are for small and frightened men, my son, and you are neither of those. Then we go to the one who reads such things, the old man Enoch, who walks with God. They say he has never told a lie, and that frightens me more than any comfort could.
And so the two greatest of the giants set out to find Enoch, to learn what their nightmare truly meant, far above the ruined earth. The holy angels had watched it all, and they could bear the silence no longer.
The whole earth is crying out against the Watchers, and the monstrous sons they have made.
They were sent to heal mankind, and instead they taught it every art of its own undoing.
But must the innocent drown beside the guilty, when they never asked for any of this?
The blood already on the ground gives the answer, and it will not be silent until repaid.
Then mercy and justice are at war tonight, and I do not know which one to hold.
Both will be served, Raphael, for one man, and his house have been found righteous below. The verdict belongs to the throne and not to us. And the throne has turned its face. I will carry the verdict if I am sent, but I will weep the whole way down.
The throne heard the cry, and heaven turned its face toward the earth, and a sentence began to take shape. But before the water fell, a final warning would be sent, and the warning would be carried by one man. The giants found Enoch at the edge of the wilderness, and even Ohyah lowered his voice before the small man.
Old One, we have dreamed of a flood that drowns the world, and we must know if it is true. It is true, and it is near, and it was sent because of your fathers and because of you. We are mighty, and we will not drown like cattle, so tell us how to turn the water aside. There is no turning it aside, for the cry of the earth has reached the throne. Verdicts are for weak men in their courts, not for those who can tear a city apart. Your hands cannot tear water, and your strength is the first thing the flood will take. Then we are simply to die, old man, and all our greatness counts for nothing. No, that is not the whole of it, and what is left is far heavier than any death you fear. Speak it then, and do not soften it, for I have never once feared a single true word.
Then Enoch was lifted in spirit before the throne, and a voice gave him the words he most dreaded to carry.
You Watchers were spirits, holy and deathless, and you defiled yourselves with women. You who can never die have fathered sons who must, and there your true sorrow begins. For the giants are flesh from the dust and spirit from the heights, two natures in one. When the flood destroys their flesh, the flesh shall rest, but the spirit shall not die. And the undying spirits shall come forth from their bodies as evil upon the earth.
And there it was, the truth no creature on earth had foreseen. The verdict, far darker than the rising rain. Enoch stood before those shining beings he had once feared, and he spoke a word that made their light go gray.
Your body will sink beneath the water, but the spirit in you will not be allowed to. Then where is it to go if you say the grave is shut, and the sky above is shut as well?
It will wander the earth, homeless and starving, taken by neither the dust nor heaven.
So the flood does not end us. It only tears us from our bones and sets us loose. Yes, the water that washes the world clean will, in that same hour, set the demons free. We did not ask to be born of two worlds, old man, and yet we pay for both of them. I know, and that is the sorrow I was sent all the way down here to carry to you. Then I would beg for death, old man, if death were a thing your God would grant me. I know, and that is the heaviest part of it, that death has become a mercy denied. Is there no plea, no offering, no oath of ours that could buy back even a little? There is nothing, for the oath your fathers swore on Hermon spent every mercy. Then write our names, prophet, so the world remembers that we once truly lived.
A human soul belongs to the earth that bore it. But these spirits belonged nowhere, and so they would remain. The giants turned away from Enoch in silence, carrying a doom worse than dying. The truth that they could not die. And Ohyah looked back once at the small prophet, and for the first time something in him was afraid. Far below, a righteous man named Noah had been building a great ark of wood while the whole world laughed. He walked with God, as his ancestor Enoch had, and so he and his house alone would be carried through.
Look at the little man and his box of wood, as if ants could ever frighten me. It is not the box you should fear, but the one who told me to build it long ago. Your God is a story for frightened farmers, and I have never seen him lift a hand.
You will see his hand soon enough, and on that day you will wish you were never born.
Then I will drink to your flood, old fool, and still be standing when it is gone.
For 100 years he had hammered and warned, and for 100 years the world had treated him as a madman. Then the windows of heaven opened, and the deep places of the earth broke upward. And the water came. It rose over the fields, then the forests, then the hills, until even the shoulders of the giants went under. The people climbed to the rooftops, then to the hills, then to the last bare peaks above the rising flood.
This is the dream, Mahawai, the water with no shore, and no high place left to climb.
We are drowning, brother. We who were promised that nothing could bring us down. I feel my strength leaving with the air, and I am afraid, brother. I am finally afraid.
Then we were never gods at all. Only borrowed flesh the water is taking back.
The mighty heroes of renown thrashed and roared and sank, and the long screaming of the world finally died. For 40 days the rain fell, and the corruption of the giants was scrubbed down to gray and silent water. Where there had been cities and armies and screaming, there was now only a flat gray sea beneath a quiet sky. But in the deep, where the drowned giants lay still, something refused to settle beside their bones. From the body of Ohyah, a spirit pulled loose. The way smoke pulls free of a fire that is burned out, it rose through the black water and broke the surface into a washed and empty sky that did not want it. He was not flesh, so the water could not hold him down, and he was not holy, so heaven would not gather him in. And Ohyah, who had feared nothing in life, now drifted above the drowned world in a far greater fear. The ark drifted alone upon that endless water, a small wooden answer to a question the whole world had refused. At last, it came to rest on the mountains. And Noah stepped into a world that smelled of mud and second chances. He built an altar and gave thanks. Certain the long nightmare of the giants was buried beneath the flood. He did not know the worst of the giants had survived. Lighter now, and far harder to ever drown again.
I had a body once, and it was warm, and now there is only this cold reaching with no end. It is the same for all of us, brother. This hunger that no harvest could ever feed.
I reach for a cup and pass through it. I reach for a fire and feel nothing at all.
I remember bread, and I remember sleep, and the memory cuts sharper than any blade.
A living man was a warm and lighted house, and the spirits were beggars freezing just outside his closed door. A spirit made for flesh and torn from it forever is a wound that walks, searching always for a way back.
If I cannot have my own body, then I will find the body of another and live in it.
The living are guarded, Ohyah, and we cannot break a door that is held shut against us.
Then we will not break it, we will whisper, until the one inside opens it himself. And how do we make a man open the very door he was warned never to leave open?
We ride his anger, his grief, his desire, every wound he leaves carelessly uncovered.
They soon learned to come not as terror, but as comfort, as a quiet thought that felt like the man's very own. A man would believe he followed only his own desire, never knowing whose hunger had first lit the spark.
And what if the man feels us there, and turns, and casts us out into the cold?
Then we wait, for a wound left long enough will open the same door again.
But the judgment, Ohyah, the day the old man spoke of, it is set, and it will come.
It is set far ahead, and until then we cannot die, so we will spend the years doing harm.
And worst of all, the spirits knew their end was certain, fixed for a day that never came in their time. They could not repent, and they could not die, and they could not rest. So ruin became their only trade. The clean new world was already, on its very first morning, being quietly hunted by the ruins of the old in a tent on the new earth. A child of Noah's line lay sleeping, his face lit gold by a low and dying fire, and the spirit of Ohyah, who had once flattened whole villages, now bent low over one small sleeping boy.
How warm you are, little one, how full of the breath and the blood that was taken from me.
I cannot enter you, not yet, for there is still a wall around a child this young.
But he could lean in close and breathe a single thought into the soft and dreaming and defenseless mind.
When you wake, you will feel a new anger, and you will be certain the anger is your own.
The boy stirred and frowned in his sleep, and a quiet door deep within him opened by a finger's width.
It is working, Ohyah. The child took the thought, and believes that he thought it first.
Then this is how we will live, not in our own flesh, but in theirs, one whisper at a time.
This was the true birth of every haunting, not a war in heaven, but a giant's ghost at a child's bed. From that one tent, the spirits spread out, following the children of Noah into every land they settled. Wherever a city rose, they gathered at its edges, drawn to the crowds. The way moths are drawn to a flame, they crowded the idols of Egypt and the high places of Canaan, and whispered through every screaming oracle. They sat behind the smoking altars where children were given to the fire, and they fed upon the grief of it. Empires rose and fell, believing they served their gods, and never knew they fed the dead spirits of the flood. Men gave them 100 names in 100 tongues, and called them gods, and built them altars of fear, but they were never gods, and never angels, and never the proud prince that men have so loved to blame. They were the orphan spirits of the giants, the unwanted children of an oath, sworn on a cursed peak, high above it all. Enoch had been shown the end of these spirits as clearly as he had been shown their crime.
Lord, will these wandering spirits torment the children of men until the very end of days?
Their fathers will be bound in the earth until the great day of the judgment comes.
And the spirits of their sons will wander and devour until that day burns it all away. Then there is an end written for them, fixed before the world began. There is an end, but that day is set far ahead, beyond Noah and his sons for many ages.
Lord, is there nothing at all the living can do to keep these spirits out?
Let them guard their hearts. For a guarded door these wandering spirits cannot pass.
Then I will write it down, so that those who come after will know the enemy and its end.
And so the demons remained, patient and starving, threaded unseen through the long story of mankind. They are not the simple fallen angels of the old paintings, nor a costume that is worn at the end of the year. They are what the world itself made. On the day it let heaven and dust be joined as they never should be. The old account leaves us with a truth stranger, and far heavier than the comfortable picture we inherited. Evil did not only fall from above in one dramatic war. It was also grown here, slowly, by small choices. It began when guardians crossed a line they were warned to keep, telling themselves the desire was their own. No single one of them set out to ruin the world. And that is exactly how the ruin of the world began. And the spirits born from it are still, even now, looking for a house, a warmth, a way back into flesh. That is why the deepest struggle is not finally against people, against blood and bone, but something beneath. The restless thing rarely announces itself, and it prefers to be mistaken for our own familiar voice.
Keep watch over the door of your own heart, for that is the door they still seek.
Yet the same account that names the demon also names its end. Fixed and written before the world began, the hunger is real, and the haunting is old. But neither is eternal, and neither one gets the final word. A day is coming when every homeless spirit is gathered, and the wound that opened at Hermon is finally closed. What was joined wrongly will one day be unmade rightly, and the earth will at last be given back its quiet. Until then, the wise keep watch over their doors, and they do not leave the deep places of the heart open. The story of the Watchers and their giant sons is one of the oldest warnings ever written by human hands. It reminds us that the smallest forbidden step can echo across 1,000 years and outlive everyone. It was written so that we would remember the border the Watchers forgot, and so that we would keep ours. If this account moved you, or showed you something you had never seen, take a moment to leave your like and subscribe to walk with us deeper into the forgotten histories of angels, Gion, and the Hidden War. In the next account, we follow Enoch himself, the man who walked into heaven alive and saw the angels' prison. Tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from, so we can see how far this story reaches. May your doors be guarded. May the deep places of your heart be at peace. And may God keep you until next.